I'm going to call our meeting to order. This is our regular Board of Supervisor meeting for April 7th, 2026. And we're going to start out with a moment of silence. I know we have one from Supervisor Crandall to start.
So we have a moment of silence for Ron Keys. Ron Keys, as you know, is an artist. He was based in Lucerne at one time. So much work. I even actually have a painting that he made of me. And so just at one time, I know he had his work. It was all in Robinson and their restaurants. I know there's so many different people he's touched with his pictures, not just pictures, but his photos, his paintings and his photos. And so he leaves behind his family and his wife, Annie Barnes Keys, and his children. And so I think they already had something for him, but we just want to honor him and give his family our blessing and condolences.
Thank you. We have another from Supervisor Sabatier.
Want to remember and have a moment of silence for Harold Riley. I've known Harold probably for about 15 years from living in the city of Clear Lake. Harold was, I don't mean anything against anyone else who is a great leader and advocate, but he was the leader and advocate for LGBT rights here in Lake County. He was known as the Rainbow Reporter, if you listen to KPFZ. He would take part in our parades. He would take part in the proclamations that we would do every June. He had the experience of a lifetime of seeing the world change in front of his eyes based on his fight and everyone else that was fighting with him to make change. He had endured the worst and seen the best. And unfortunately, Harold has passed on. And what we can all hope is that that torch has been passed on so that there are people here in our community that continue fighting to make sure things end up right. So I want to remember Harold Riley.
Thank you. Superintendent Falkenberg, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any extra items not on the agenda?
No, we do not, Chair.
Thank you. We'll move on to our approval of the consent agenda. And I understand there's a request to pull 5.16 and 5.17. Is that, go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Thank you. I would also like to pull 5.25, please.
California Commission of Judicial Service has already filed a
Can we close 5.19? Okay, so we have a request to pull 5.16, 5.17, 5.25, and 5.19. Are there any others from supervisors? Anybody in the public have any items that they would request to pull for later? Not seeing any. I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as proposed with the exception of 516, 517, 525, and I believe it was 519.
Correct.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries 5-0. Next, we're going to move on to our public input. Can I see a show of hands in the audience, how many people request to speak today? Okay. Online, if you could raise your hand and let the clerk know. 2? 3? Okay, we're going to start we'll start online this morning. Guest. If you can identify yourself, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Amaral, speaking as the Earth Chair this morning. I'm going to read a letter that we sent recently to Behavioral Health regarding the closure of the Big Oak Peer Center in Clear Lake Oaks. And stated, we were recently informed of the decision to close the Big Oak Peer Center in Clear Lake Oaks and relocate services to Clear Lake with a final day of operation scheduled for June 1st. The Big Oak Peer Center is an integral resource for the Clear Lake Oaks community. Local residents face ongoing challenges related to food insecurity, homelessness, and limited access to basic services. The center currently provides food distribution to nearly 900 each month and offers shower facilities to more than 200 people without access to clean water. In addition, programs such as therapeutic art classes, benefits assistance, and regular support check-ins, along with its role as a heating and cooling center during extreme weather, serve numerous individuals daily. These are not minor contributions. They are essential services that directly impact public health, safety, and community stability. A complete shutdown on June 1st without a long-term plan in place would be devastating and would undermine the significant progress made to date. With the closure of the Big Oak Pier Center in Clear Lake Oaks and the Circle of Native Mines Center in Lakeport, residents will need to travel into the city of Clear Lake for services. While we understand there is discussion of utilizing the mobile unit to try and bridge the gap, we are concerned that this may not be an adequate solution. Our community has come together to develop a path forward. However, implementation will require time. We respectfully request that the Lake County Department of Behavioral Health grant a 6-month extension to keep the Peer Center operational at its current location through December 31st, 2025 or 2026. This extension will help ensure that our most vulnerable residents continue to receive critical services while a sustainable long-term solution is finalized. We are hopeful that Earth and Lake County Behavioral Health can work collaboratively to address the immediate challenges while building a stronger, more resilient solution for the future. In response, Earth did receive a response from Behavioral Health with no suggestions for further discussion or assistance. Our hope is that the board will look into this further and consider putting an item on the agenda in the near future for more discussion. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Zoom user, please identify yourself and you'll have 3 minutes. Okay, we'll go to in the room. First person, please come up. State your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Marie Schrader, and I'm here to tell you about a program that I have brought to Lake County. It's called A Simple Gesture. This is a grassroots food collection donation program. We started this program in Lakeport here on October 25th of 2025. The program was so successful that we immediately expanded it within a month to all of Lake County. I currently have 5 chapters. They are Lakeport, Kelseyville, South Lake, Clear Lake, Lower Lake, and North Shore. And those chapters serve 7 different food pantries in Lake County: United Christian Parish in Lakeport, Kelseyville Presbyterian Church, Middletown Methodist Church, Clear Lake Methodist Church, Praises of Zion Baptist Church in Clear Lake, and Lucerne First Lutheran Church, Nice Community Baptist Church. We've done 6 pickups since October 25th, 2025, in which we have collected over 10,000 pounds of food and delivered it to those food pantries. So how it works is that you sign up using your zip code. There is no zip code that is left untouched in our county. Every zip code has got a chapter assigned to it. Then, once you do that, the computer program takes over, and it sends out emails to those people telling them about the upcoming collection date. And then what you do is simply put a bag of food out by your doorstep. We actually have reusable bags. This program got started with the sponsorship of Redwood Credit Union. You put a bag of food out by your doorstep. I have a driver that will come and take that bag, leave you a new one, and then deliver it straight to the local food pantry. The whole idea of this program was to keep the food local, to bring it directly to the people in your community. Let's see here. So we have currently in Lake County 207 donors, which is 0.3% of the population here in Lake County. Saturation rate for this program is 8%. So we have a long way to go, that we are in need of more donors in order to be able to keep the sustained food donation going. What, most people are used to doing food collection during the holidays, but we know that food insecurity is a 12-month problem, and this is our way of being able to do that. So what I'm here to do today is to ask you, as supervisors, to share the event that I put out there on Facebook to your pages. I know when Brad did that, Brad is a donor, it immediately jumped my donor base. So your support of this program is crucial. So become a donor, post about donating, on there, and I encourage everyone in this room to do that too. I will leave information right up here about that.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you. Oops, thank you, dear.
Is that one you're going to give me anyway?
Yes.
Reverend Shannon Kimball Oth, and I am here wearing multiple hats. Previously, I've spoken to you about the importance of resilient centers for local resilience. 3 of the partners that Marie just mentioned to you are serving as resilient centers. We know that food security in times of disaster impacts the most vulnerable people in our communities and across the United States. To create a system and a program within Lake County that ensures that each of the food pantries around the lake has a ready, sustainable, year-round source of food drastically increases their capacity for resilience in the community. So I echo Marie's request to you, specifically for you each to share the sign up for Simple Gestures on your page. But more than that, I would like to ask that a time be scheduled for us to talk more about the details of Simple Gesture, why it works, how it works, and the piece that it holds within the overall sustainability plan for food security in Lake County. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next in the room.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I want to pick up on something that Supervisor Owen mentioned in the last meeting concerning, it came up in the special districts hearing where a lot of issues were presented, and she had asked a very fair question of whether there should be independent audits performed on that department and other departments. And there seemed to have been frankly, a knee-jerk reaction of, oh, well, we already do audits, as if that was an acceptable response. And in fact, I think it was disturbingly, in light of recent events, disturbingly tone deaf. In November, we found, I believe it was behavioral health is upside down by $1.5 million, and they're asking for a loan. And that came as a surprise. We also found out that building and safety, 6 months into their annual budget, had already run out of money in reserve, and that they were asking for a loan or else. Your audits didn't pick up on it. Your best management practices didn't detect it. Your controls and flags didn't do anything, and certainly there wasn't any governance. December rolls around, and it's more of the same but worse. We find out that the building and safety issue was going on for 3 years, not 6 months, that the management there knew about it, that it wasn't sustainable. They went and did it anyway and didn't tell anybody for 3 years. And again, you guys didn't detect it, much less prevent it. January rolls around, And again, more of the same but worse. We find out that it's not just building and safety, but it's also planning and code enforcement. We're using that reserve as a slush fund. Supervisor Sabatier asked the question. This has been going on for 3 years, and we're finding out about it now. How is that possible? Later in the month, we find out from the state during the sewage spill that special districts had something on the order of 13 deficiencies identified in their management practices. Their governance detected it, but our counties didn't. In February, again, more of the same but worse. It's not just the Building and Safety Reserve, but also the Cannabis Reserve. In 2024-25, CDD was authorized to take out $560,000, but they took out almost $800,000, 41% more than they were authorized. Nobody said anything, no flags, nothing was tripped, no best management practices. In March, we find out that the reason CDD says we're not responsible for the Cannabis Reserve. So Supervisor Sabatier asked the question, I'm paraphrasing, well, if you're not, then who is? Who's governing this? And the response from staff was, nobody. So we're back to Ms. Owen's comment. There are audits that are specifically designed to look into these things. They're called performance audits. They look at best management practices, identify deficiencies, and recommend corrective actions. I respectfully suggest that you reconsider the importance for fiscal responsibility in audits. Thank you.
Thank you. Next in the room. Not seeing any, we'll go back to Zoom. Zoom user, if you can identify yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sky Lewa, Pillsbury Family Farms. On a normal day, this board tells the public that transparency matters, accountability matters, and public participation matters. But on March 24th, 2026, we heard something else. We heard that public scrutiny is a hindrance for you, that questions are a barrier for you, and that the people doing their job is now overreach for you. There is nothing excessive about asking how our $4.5 million grant is going to be used. There is nothing unreasonable about expecting details before approval. There is nothing inappropriate about the public questioning and challenging decisions that are made in its name. What is inappropriate is a governing body that begins to treat public oversight as an inconvenience, because that's what's being pushed here is not efficiency. It is insulated governance, where decisions are moved forward with less scrutiny and the authority quietly shifts away from this board and into the hands of the departments that are not elected, not directly accountable, and in this case, not fiscally stable. Since November of 25, this board sat here and reviewed the condition of Community Development Department. You discussed the cuts. You discussed deficits. You discussed the need for better fiscal control. You were asked to approve a grant with no clear program, defined scope, no transparent structure that may very well route funding back into the same department. So I have to ask, are you using grants to backfill a department that this board itself just reduced? And what is more troubling is not just a lack of detail, but is the reaction from the supervisors to the public demanding it. When a supervisor sits there and suggests that public review is a barrier, that the consent agenda item should already be out the door, what is really being said to the public is this. The public needs to ask its government fewer questions. The public should learn to trust its government more, and the public should learn to understand less. That is not transparency, nor is it leadership, and that is not the role that you were elected to serve. You were not elected to move free money out the door. You were elected to stand in the way of decisions that have not been fully explained. You were elected to question. You were elected to challenge, and you were elected to slow things down when it's necessary so the public can clearly see what is being done in its name. When a supervisor says that public overreach is oversight, what follows is a government that no longer answers to its people, but to its own momentum. So the people are the reason why government exists in the first place. If it bothers this board when an item is pulled, if it frustrates this board when questions are asked about consent agenda items, the problem is not with the people. The problem is your growing discomfort with accountability as supervisors. And that is the direction this county cannot afford to go in. Once you start calling public scrutiny a problem, you are no longer protecting the transparency of the process. You are protecting the government's decision from being questioned by the people. And that is where governance begins to fail. Molehan.
Thank you. Maya Lynn, you'll have 3 minutes. Maya, can you hear us? Is there another one? Sterling, you'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Good morning. I am here to raise some concerns. I've been watching the general plan, and my concern with the general plan is that the director keeps stating that an energy policy can't be added. They can't do the energy policy. But I did add some things by California law where they can't add that. And the reason why we need to add that now is because of AB 531, which has changed and was sponsored by Sonoma Clean Power during the time Sonoma Clean Power was here trying to push the geothermal. So my concern is with that, if we don't put this into our general plan, which is the constitution of our county, which limitates everything, what can and can't come in. We don't have those strict restrictions in our general plan. By the time we pass our general plan, we will be shooting ourselves in our own foot. We won't be able to have restrictions if we already don't have them in there, stating like how close we can be to residents, noise pollution, our financial benefit, the aquifer, the water that we'll be using, and the fracking. It's really important that you guys pay attention to this and that it gets put in there. I do know that the ad hoc committee is coming up with an update today, but there's some concerns with the ad hoc committee. We have a member that sits on the board that sits on the ad hoc committee that has interest on being Sonoma Clean Power and wants the geothermal to come in here. And to me, that's a conflict of interest. So these are things that as a board, you guys can prevent for us community members, because ultimately it's going to be your guys' decision. And it's been very loud and clear with a lot of community members how worried we are about this. And I really hope that the board members sitting there are hearing us loud and clear, just like we've been asking for forensic audits on these departments. We've been coming to you guys as a community with our concerns, and I really hope the 5 of you are listening to our concerns and are able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. What was that? Cassandra, if you can identify yourself, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. I'm Cassandra Holbert. I'm here today as a resident directly impacted by the Clear Lake sewage spill. I just want to speak to 3 things that our community urgently needs that I'm hearing from many community members: independent oversight, accountability, and clear, consistent information. First, we need an independent audit, not an internal review, not a summary, not a filtered report, a truly independent third-party audit of many things, but for me specifically, the Clear Lake sewage spill incident, from infrastructure conditions prior to the failure to the response timeline, decision-making process, communications, ongoing mitigation efforts. The public deserves to understand not just what happened, but why did this happen? And could this have been prevented? Accountability is not about blame for the sake of blame. It's about responsibility, correction, prevention. If if there were gaps in maintenance and oversight or response, we need to know where those breakdowns occurred and what's being done to ensure they never happen again. Without accountability, there's not going to be any trust. And right now, trust in our institutions is deeply shaken. Third, clarity and access to information. We shouldn't have to piece together our reality from fragmented updates, conflicting statements, buried documents. We need transparent and centralized, accessible information. We need clear data, we need honest communication, and we need a straightforward timeline of events and actions taken, ongoing updates that are consistent and not reactive. And I want to address something that's been felt across my community. There was a clear expectation that we would be getting a town hall and an opportunity for direct dialogue, for questions to be answered, and for trust to begin being rebuilt. And now we're being told it's not being prioritized. And that shift matters, because when open dialogue is delayed or deprioritized, this reinforces the feeling that community voices are not being heard. People haven't stopped calling. We're just redirecting our efforts because when outreach doesn't result in clear answers or meaningful engagement, people are going to look for other ways to be heard through public comment, organizing, showing up in spaces like this. And that's where we're at now. No one's asking for perfection. We're asking for honesty, transparency, and a system that respects the people that it's serving. An independent audit, real accountability, and clear information is not optional. That is the minimum standard for public trust. Thank you.
Thank you. And we still have Maya. Stephanie, if you can identify yourself, you'll have 3 minutes. Stephanie, are you there? What was that? Stephanie, you need to unmute. Okay, and then anyone else? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move on to our 903 item, which is Pet of the Week.
Looks like it.
Hi, I'm Officer Real with Lake County Animal Care and Control, and this is Cleo. She is a 1-year-old pit bull that came into our shelter about a month and a half ago. Unfortunately, she was abandoned at a dog park. She's shy at first, as you guys can tell, but warms up quite nicely. She gets along with other dogs, and I'm not sure how she acts with cats. So if you have any cats, you just give us a call down at the shelter at 4949 Hellbush Drive, right behind the jail.
Thank you. Any comments? What's that? Yeah, it's Maya, you can send us an email. We called you a couple times, not sure what was going on, but we closed public comment. Okay. We're going to move on to our 905 6.3 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Lake County. Vice Chair Pyska is going to handle this, and anyone that's here for this proclamation, you're welcome to come up here with Supervisor Pyska.
All the teal.
Hold up. I grabbed too many.
Come on, probation. Come on up.
You're gonna have to make a little bit more room.
We've got plenty of room. We can move down here too. There's room this way. Yeah. Congratulations. Good. How are you? Pretty good. Proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Lake County. Whereas in 2025, Lake County agencies responded to the needs of 242 sexual assault victims and their significant others and/or family members. And whereas no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, and the partnership between public and private Lake County agencies is invaluable. Whereas child sex abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that children are being abused. 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before the age of 18. And whereas Lake Family Resource Center has been instrumental in leading the way in County of Lake in addressing sexual assault by providing 24-hour hotline services, continuing support, advocacy, and accompaniment to victims, survivors, and their significant others. And whereas ending sexual assault in Lake County must include active public and private efforts to speak out against sexual violence, it is in a time for all of us to start conversations, take appropriate action, and support one another to create a safer environment for all residents. And whereas staff and volunteers of the Lake Family Resource Center Rape Crisis Center work year-round to encourage every person to speak out against sexual violence and to support survivors by providing prevention, education, and survivor empowerment information. And whereas Lake Family Resource Center and the District Attorney's Office, Victim Witness Division, local law enforcement agencies, hospitals, and schools have set an important example of how forging collaborative relationships improves the quality of service for those impacted by sexual violence. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the month of April 2026 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Lake County and urges all local governments, schools, businesses, and community members to participate in the sponsored events this month to increase awareness and public support for creating communities free from violence and exploitation. Passed and adopted the 7th day of April and signed by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors. So it's wonderful to see so many of our partners up on this stage today. I really appreciate you coming because these are the faces.
It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Thank you all. I don't necessarily want to say anything. Gina has some things to say, but apparently I'm saying something. So anyway, thank you all. I did not expect that the group of people that got up because there's lots of things going on today. And Jamie, we share her. Anyway.
I don't know why Jamie's not up here. Hi, my name is Gina Pilot, and I am the coordinator at the Rape Crisis Center. And I want to thank the board for this proclamation and recognizing Sexual Assault Awareness Month. This year also marks 25 years of the Rape Crisis Center's supporting and recognizing Sexual Assault Awareness Month activities. It's a reminder of the long-standing commitment that Lake County has made to prevention, education, and survivor support. In a rural community like Lake County, the realities of sexual assault can be hidden by distance, isolation, and limited resources. Survivors may fear speaking up in a small community or may not know where to turn for help. That is why awareness, education, and strong community partnerships are so important. This proclamation is more than a statement. It's a commitment. It reminds us that preventing sexual violence and supporting survivors is a responsibility that we all share. To the survivors in our community, we see you, we believe you, and you're not alone. Thank you to our advocates and our community partners who continue working to make Lake County a safer place for everyone. Some of the events that I wanted to talk about this April is today's Day of Action. It's kicking off Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and our color is teal. And we have our proclamation. We'll be at Woodland Community College for Earth Day on 4/23. 4/29 is Denim Day. And we have coffee sleeves around various coffee shops here in Lake County. And to our local law enforcement, they have agreed to once again, put teal ribbons on their vehicles. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And comments from board members? Thank you to Lake Family Resource Center and all of our partner organizations that assist in this area.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We have any public comment regarding this proclamation?
I know it was happening.
Not seeing any. None online, Johanna? The next one is poetry.
You can stay.
I felt my face getting hot.
And we're going to move on to our 6.4 item, 910 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Poetry Month in Lake County. Supervisor Owen is going to handle this, and anybody here that's here for the poetry, please come up.
All of the above.
All of you.
There's more room up here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do the poetry today. Board of Supervisors of Lake County, State of California, proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Poetry Month in Lake County. Whereas National Poetry Month was launched by the Academy of American Poets in April 1996 to celebrate the integral role of poetry in our culture and that poetry matters. And whereas the National Poetry Month has become the largest literary celebration in the world, with tens of millions of readers, students K through 12, teachers, librarians, booksellers, literary events, creators, publishers, families, and poets, making poetry an important place in our lives. And whereas the County of Lake recognizes the contributions of poetry and literacy, arts, and enriching the culture attributes of society, and the poetry represents one of the most enduring forms of expression and contributions to the historical continuity and civilization. And whereas the Lake County acknowledges the relationships between poetry and political freedom in an exercise of free speech and in forms recognizable by people all over the world. Now, therefore, be it proclamated that the County of Lake Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the month of April 2026 as Poetry Month in Lake County, passed and adopted this 7th day of April 2026.
I'm Brenda Marie Yeager. I'm the 12th Poet Laureate of Lake County, and today is actually my last day as Poet Laureate because we are also proclaiming a new Poet Laureate for Lake County today. But I just want to thank the Board of Supervisors so much for supporting poetry and recognizing its value in the community. And anyone who wants to participate in poetry events this month, Roy Arthur Blodgett will be teaching a poetry workshop on Saturday from 10 to 12:30 at the Rodman Preserve. It's a beautiful way to come out and take a nature walk with Roy and write. And then we also will be having a celebration of his inauguration at the Four Family Vineyard Wine Tasting Room in Kelseyville on the 19th, Sunday the 19th. So that's those are some ways to participate this month in National Poetry Month. Come out and hear the poets read their poetry. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. And I believe Mr.
Yes, we're gonna move
EJ.
on. We're gonna stay up here, and now we're gonna have our 9:15 item, which is presentation of the proclamation appointing Roy Arthur Blodgett as the 13th Poet Laureate of Lake County for 2026 and 2028, and then we'll do comments on both of these after.
All right, perfect. So I'll go ahead and read this proclamation appointing Roy Arthur Blodgett as the 13th Poet Laureate of Lake County for 2026 and 2028. Whereas the County of Lake recognizes the contributions of poetry and the arts for enriching the literary and cultural attributes of society, and whereas the County of Lake acknowledges the relationship between poetry and political freedom and the exercise of free speech in forms recognizable by people all over the world, and whereas County of Lake recognizes that poetry represents one of the most enduring forms of expression and contributes to the historical continuity of civilization. And whereas the function of the Poet Laureate is to encourage poetry and writing among Lake County residents by stimulating literacy and creativity in spoken and written form. Whereas the Poet Laureate of Lake County is designated to represent the Board of Supervisors at civic and cultural events. Now therefore, the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby appoint Roy Arthur Blodgett as the 13th Poet Laureate of Lake County for the years 2026 through 2028 and wishes him well in his new position, passed and adopted this 7th day of April 2026, signed by the Chair of Board of Supervisors, Brad Rasmussen.
Hold the microphone. I just want to express gratitude to the Poet Laureate Selection Committee for entrusting me with this role and honor. And also my thanks to the Board of Supervisors for your support of poetry. Poetry is a lifesaver, and we really need it, so thank you so much. I'm going to share just one poem that I wrote about the auspices of spring. So this poem's called New Spring. It was meadow foam, goldfields, lupin, poppy, tomcat clover, and the frenetic play of bees amid the red bud flowers, the medallion leaves still new, aglow in green and crimson. It was clematis, larkspur, and the first lanterns of calochortus aflame on the old lava flow at Dragon's Back. I dreamt every night of cave bears, my fingers tracing the marks of their claws in the ash, my hands placing their skulls on altars of stone in the dark, enveloped in the animal scent, listening for their breathing, waiting for their stirring and what it signified. Today, I thought we might look back on these mornings, on the birdsong, on the scarcity, the fraying hope and insecurity, all of us looking back fondly at everything we had together, which couldn't be bought. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak, or no? Anyone from the board?
Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on either of these two items? No hands?
I do want to just mention something, just in case the public is not aware. I don't know that I've ever been in a room with 4 poet laureates. So I think this is a great moment. This shows the support that past poet laureates have for current and future poet laureates. Just appreciate seeing everybody in the same room, and congratulations, Roy.
And let's get a picture with all of us. We're going to move on to our 6.6920 item, presentation of a proclamation designating the week of April 6th through 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week in Lake County. Anybody here for public health, please come up with Supervisor Sabatier.
I know there's a bunch of you. I'm looking forward to watching the Indiana Bears. I see faces up here I've known for quite some time, and I see new faces, and it's just exciting to see the continued growth of our health services department. Today we are designating the week of April 6th through 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week in Lake County. Whereas the week of April 6, 2026 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Ready, Set, Action, highlighting that public health actions occurring through scientific discoveries, legislation, and community initiatives have significantly improved the health of all Americans. And whereas public health organizations use National Public Health Week to educate public policymakers and the public on issues that are important to improving the health of the people of the United States, and public health professionals helps communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, ranging from infectious disease outbreaks to natural disasters preparedness. And whereas the Administration Division supports each Health Services Department program in its mission to promote and protect the well-being of local residents. The Environmental Health Division enhances public health in Lake County through education, enforcing safety standards, making sure our restaurants are awesome, and promoting compliance with environmental health laws. And the Public Health Division improves community health by providing information, resources, access, and services to Lake County residents. And whereas Public Health Week also recognizes the partnership and service of local public and private agencies, foundations, community partners, academia, and health-related enterprises that are working in collaboration to promote healthy behaviors and bolster the Health Services Department's efforts in improving the health outcomes of Lake County residents. And whereas racial and ethnic minority populations in the United States continue to experience disparities in the burden of illness and death as compared with the entire population of the United States, and a person's health status can differ drastically by zip code due to differences in the built environment, environmental quality, community context, access to healthy food, access to education, and health care. Yeah. And whereas County of Lake Health Services recognizes and seeks to address the health disparities experienced by rural communities and by tribal populations, I think it's missing the X, Latinx populations, LGBTQIA2S+ populations, populations living in poverty, aging populations, those who are geographically isolated, and those who are experiencing substance use or mental health issues. And whereas Lake County Health Services seeks to promote policies, systems, and services that promote optimal health and remove systemic barriers that result in health inequities, and strives to address the health disparities experienced by rural communities as a whole. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the County of Lake Board of Supervisors do hereby recognize April 6th through 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week in Lake County, passed and adopted this 7th day of April and signed by our board chair. Please.
So these fabulous people represent a larger group of people dedicated to compliance, passion for healthcare, keeping us safe with vaccines, harm reduction, the list goes on. So in honor of these, I thank you, and thank you, board.
Anybody who thought they were getting out of here without me talking, you clearly were unprepared. Standing behind me are some of the hardest working people you will ever meet, and you will never know. In my division, Environmental Health Division, we're often referred to as a silent army. Are in restaurants or tattoo shops. We are unfortunately standing over your septic tanks when they are in failure, and it is not pleasant, but it's a job and it's important. These people come to work every day and just absolutely kill it. They do an amazing job, and without them, our public health standards would just decline. Things that people take for granted, going to a restaurant and having a meal and knowing they're not going to get sick, that's a privilege. That's a lot of work by a lot of people to make sure that every day you have the best options and the safest options for you. And for the public health people on their side, they will almost never get the recognition individually for the work that they do. It is extremely rare that anybody is ever called out for the work that they do, yet every day they do the work, and they do it for the people of Lake County. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm absolutely honored to be part of this group. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Lisa Faracco, Deputy Health Services Director over Finance and Administration, and I want to call out the administrative people who don't get mentioned very often. We are the people processing the payments for the grants, invoicing, working on compliance, making sure that we are good stewards of public funds. We're the ones who are bringing the financial piece of these programs to this county. We are the ones who are working on the hiring and the HR issues. We are the ones doing the background work that you will never see in the community, but it has to be done for all of the environmental health and public health programs to exist. So thank you to the Finance and Administration team as well.
Any comments from board members? Or doctor first? Sorry, I didn't know you were.
So I'm Dr. Bob Bernstein. I'm your county health officer. And actually, I'd like to express my appreciation to you, because the public, when they appreciate and attend to what we have to say, helps us and helps yourselves to protect yourselves with vaccinations, with behaviors. And I just want to say that it's your work that helps to prevent illness, injury, disability, and premature death. Thank you very much.
And Supervisor Owen?
I would like to really express my gratitude and let you know that you are so much appreciated. The fact that we have the confidence when we go into a restaurant, that what we're buying at our stores, and that you're on top of all that. More recently, the sewer spill, just all the things that you have your hands into. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. Your clean hands, yes. To keep us protected. And your job is very much appreciated. And I know that you don't get told thank you enough. So I just want to extend a special thank you to each and every one of you. You guys are important.
Anything else? I think we'll get a picture then.
Hop up here. Normal height.
How's it feel to be up there for the first time?
Yeah, we're tall.
Anybody in the public that wishes to comment on this item?
Yes. I like your shirt.
Any hands online,
Arizona
Joanna?
area, New Mexico. I love it.
Get a new chair.
Love that, the Roadrunner and the Southwestern.
We're going to move on to our 6.7, 925 item, which is presentation of proclamation
I like your shirt.
designating the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Lake County. And anyone here for that, please come up.
Honey, she's pregnant. She's got the baby. Oh, I saw those coming into work at the Office of Education in the yard. These are so cool. I'm so glad I got one. Now, how am I going to make this stand up? You just have your own portable. You have your own portable. No. No.
Well, it looks like we have everybody up here, so we'll get started. This is a proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Lake County. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment where they feel valued, supported, and connected to caring adults and their community. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a shared responsibility that requires the commitment of families, neighbors, educators, healthcare providers, faith communities, law enforcement, businesses, and local organizations working together to build a culture where children and families thrive. Whereas research on adverse childhood experience, ACEs, has shown that early trauma can have long-term impacts on health, learning, well-being, increasing the risk for chronic disease, mental health challenges, and other negative outcomes across the lifespan. And whereas emerging science also shows that positive childhood experiences, such as supportive relationships with trusted adults, safe and stable environments, and opportunities for connection and belonging can build resilience and lead to healthy outcomes from positive experiences, hope for children and families. And whereas Lake County is working to strengthen families and prevent child abuse through collaborative, community-based strategies that promote protective factors, build resilience, and ensure families have access to the supports and services they need. And whereas the Lake County Children's Council, in partnership with community organizations and agencies, has developed a comprehensive prevention plan to guide, coordinate efforts, and strengthen families, support child and family well-being, and prevent abuse and neglect before it occurs. And whereas Lake County is also advancing positive community norms, recognizing that the adults in our community care deeply about the safety and well-being of children and actively contribute to creating supportive environments where children can thrive. And whereas throughout the month of April, Lake County will recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month through community events and awareness activities, including the Pinwheel Garden Challenge, the Children's Festival and Advocacy Walk, the Children's Memorial Flag displays, and other efforts that promote awareness, hope, and collective action. And whereas the blue pinwheel is the national symbol of child abuse prevention and represents the happy, healthy childhood that every child deserves, reminding communities that prevention begins with nurturing environments and supportive relationships. And whereas the Children's Memorial Flag is displayed to honor and remember children who have lost their lives to abuse or neglect, serving as a solemn reminder of the importance of prevention and a call for communities to come together to protect children and support families. And whereas by working together to strengthen families, build positive relationships, and promote supportive and positive community norms, we can create a safer, healthier future for all of our children in Lake County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Lake County does hereby designate the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Lake County, and encourages all residents, community organizations, businesses, faith communities, and public agencies to join in efforts to strengthen and support families, promote positive childhood experiences, and ensure that every child has the opportunity to grow up safe, healthy, and hopeful, passed and adopted this 7th day of April, 2026 by the Lake County Board of Supervisors. Thank you. And just quickly, I just wanted to say, I mean, I know this gets mentioned a lot, but in Lake County, whether it's, working on this subject or anything else, it's the tremendous partnerships that we have, and that's evident by everybody up here today, that we're always working in collaboration, and that's why we're very successful. So thank you. And who's going to speak? Superintendent?
Brock Falkenberg, Lake County Superintendent of Schools. I wish to thank the board for your leadership and dedication in this area. We have a series of planned comments, so I will ask Jamie White to kick us off here.
Kicking us off. I want to first of all thank the Board of Supervisors for doing this proclamation every year and for allowing all of us to come up here on the stage, and for everybody who's up here. today. So today we are gathering not only to acknowledge a difficult issue, but also to recognize the many people across Lake County who are working every day to support children and strengthen families. Child abuse prevention is not the responsibility of one agency or one system. It requires the commitment of families, neighbors, educators, health care providers, faith communities, local organizations, and public leaders all working together to create an environment where children are safe and supported. Before we talk about the work happening across our county to prevent this child abuse, it is important that we acknowledge the realities many children and families face today. To help provide that perspective, we would like to invite a representative from Child Welfare Services to share an overview of the current data from Lake County.
Thank you, Chairman and supervisors and members of the public. My name is Kim Costa. I am a program manager with Lake County Child Protective Services. That is the name by which you might more recognize Child Welfare Services. I have been doing that work in the field of child protection for about 35 years. That has been my professional passion. Every year, Child Welfare Services in Lake County receives reports of suspected child abuse and neglect from every jurisdiction. These reports come from community members, educators, healthcare providers, law enforcement personnel, and others who are concerned about the safety of a child. In 2025, Lake County Child Welfare Services received over 1,500 reports of suspected child abuse or neglect. Of those, almost 600 met criteria for investigation and potential intervention. At any given time, there are Lake County children who must live outside of their homes because of safety concerns related to abuse or neglect. Currently, there are about 110 children placed outside of their parents' care with intensive services and supports in place to help these families mitigate the issues that resulted in maltreatment and separation. Sadly, the number of situations requiring child welfare intervention has increased steadily over the past several years, reminding us that the need to strengthen families and prevent abuse before it occurs remains critically important. But these are not just statistics. Behind every report and every case is a child and a family navigating challenges and circumstances that none of us would wish for. While Child Welfare Services plays an important role in responding when children are unsafe, we also know that true prevention happens before a report is ever made. It happens when families have support, when communities come together, and when systems work collaboratively to help families thrive. And that is exactly the work that many organizations and community partners across Lake County are focused on today. At this time, I would like to invite a representative from the Lake County Children's Council to share more about these efforts.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Lewis, Chief Deputy Probation Officer at Probation. And I just wanted to start by saying, look at everybody up here and look at even those who are part of this work that are not up here. And Lake County is truly blessed. Look at how far we've come. Yet, as this data just reminds us, we still have a ways to go. I also wanted to make sure that we highlight some of these activities that we'll be talking about. But right now, one of our tribal partners is hosting a volleyball tournament in support of sexual assault awareness, child abuse prevention at Big Valley from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. both tonight and tomorrow. There's vendors, there's volleyball, there's food, there's fun. It's fantastic for kids. And there's teams that signed up, but there's also room for people who didn't sign up to play. And just to sweeten the pot a little bit, there's a few community agencies that are going out there too to play too. So there's that. But seriously, the children's festivals that are happening, the first one's this weekend at Cobden Park from 10 to 3, April 25th at Austin Park, 10 to 3. Fantastic time. Bring the kids out, families. It's awesome. Some other work that is going on in Lake County is the Children's Council and Resilient Lake County and other community partners have worked together to develop a comprehensive prevention plan, or CPP. This plan brings together agencies, schools, healthcare providers, tribal partners, and community organizations to strengthen the systems that support families and ensure children have the opportunity to grow up in safe and nurturing environments. One of the key priorities of the Comprehensive Prevention Plan is ensuring that families have access to parenting education and support programs that help caregivers build confidence, strengthen relationships with their children, and connect with other parents. Across Lake County, families can participate in a variety of parenting programs. These include Nurturing Families, Abriendo Puertas, Triple P, Positive Parenting Program, Motherhood is Sacred and Fatherhood is Sacred, Positive Indian Parenting, and many more. Each of these programs provides families with tools, encouragement, and community support as they raise their children. Additionally, Resilient Lake County collaborative efforts continue to meet regularly and support the goals of the Comprehensive Prevention Plan and to strengthen prevention efforts across the county. Recently, partners participated in a 2-day learning and planning event where agencies came together to learn from one another, share best practices, and refine strategies that will help create long-term sustainable supports for the families in Lake County. These collaborations reflect a growing understanding that prevention is not something one program can do alone. As I said, it takes a village, and look at this village.
I'm Samantha Bond. I'm the executive director of First 5 Lake, and some days I feel like that too, and I want to throw myself on the floor and scream too. But in terms of the work that we do here, it's really important. So not only do we have the comprehensive prevention plan, but we also have two new programs and stuff that we are bringing to the community. One of them is the positive community norms. The positive community norms is an approach that focuses on elevating the positive behaviors and values that already exist within our community. The truth is that most adults in Lake County care deeply about children and family, as evident today, and show up every day in ways that support them. Our goal is to make the positive actions more visible and more powerful. Throughout April, Lake County will be launching a community survey for all adults to help us better understand how people support children and families and how we talk about our community. The vision behind this effort is simple. Imagine a Lake County where the best of us is the loudest of us. Lake County is a place of incredible beauty, resilience, and opportunity. By highlighting the positive ways that people care for one another and by shifting the way that we talk about our community, we can help build a culture where families feel supported and children can thrive. It also aligns with our work on the healthy outcomes of positive experiences, or HOPE. HOPE reminds us that when children have supportive relationships with caring adults, safe environments, and strong connections within our communities, they build resilience that help them overcome challenges, thrive throughout our lives. The HOPE framework aims to inspire movement that changes how people and organizations advance health and well-being in children and families and communities. At the present, there are trainings that are happening in Lake County to introduce individuals to the HOPE framework. Unfortunately, our April 15th one is sold out, so be on the lookout for new ones later on in the year. But prevention is not only about responding to when something goes wrong, it's about building the conditions that allow families and children to succeed in everything we do, and that includes our fun activities.
You guys thought you got enough of me already, huh? Just kidding. So Kevin talked about our advocacy walk and children's festivals that are taking place on the 11th, this Saturday, and on the 25th. But I wanted to mention just a couple more that don't really get the spotlight, although. So when I was on my way here this morning, I was driving and thinking, just like we said, look at how far we've come, but look at how far we could come. So I'm sure you guys have all seen the pinwheels that are out in the community, but I know we can do better than that. So my vision is that every house and every business has blue pinwheels out, and they are supporting this cause. And I know that nobody is about competition in this county at all. So there is a trophy that is there is awards that are given out for the pinwheels. So I'm encouraging everybody here to put pinwheels out. I know it's going to be competition because the Riv School is piling up the pinwheels, so you guys have some competition going. But that is happening throughout the whole month. We will have a slideshow. I've found a new way to be able to make sure everybody's pictures are on there, so we know there is a competition. There is a trophy that Anna, who made that trophy? Was it the Kelseyville High School? Was it one of the high schools actually welded this trophy and made this trophy for us? So this is it is a legit trophy. So I want to make sure that everyone knows about the Pinwheel Challenge. And then lastly, when I was also envisioning my next dream, so each year we do an art contest, and it is for the whole every school district in the county. And there is a lot of artwork that is submitted, and through that we usually get 6. This year we got 7 artworks that were selected for the placemats. Placemats are selected, or the artwork is put on the placemat so you guys can all see, and they are given out at a couple different businesses. But my next dream is that I don't have to just come here and say that Pogo's Pizza in Kelseyville and Judy's Junction in Upper Lake and Lakeport Taco Bell, who has been supporting us every single year, are on this placemat. I want to come here and say every business in this county has a placemat at their business, and they give them out through the whole month of April. So next year, that's going to be my goal, is that this is filled with all of the businesses in Lake County. But go support the people that are supporting us now. So Kelseyville Pogo's Pizza, Judy's Junction, and Taco Bell and Lakeport all have these placemats, so you can go and get a placemat and see the artwork that's on there. And then there's also some in Clear Lake that are being presented too. Yes, Grandpa's Cafe, oh my gosh, Subway, Trejo's, Cabo's, and yep, I think that's it. So yeah. But I highly recommend you guys do that. And did I miss any of our other events? Did I miss any? Pinwheel, got it. All right, off to the last one.
Okay, and the last fun event that we have going on for the month of April is, it's not quite fun, but is the Children's Memorial Flag. We have agencies across Lake County who will be flying the Children's Memorial Flag. This flag represents the children lost to child abuse and neglect, and that is what that red child means here. And so we're asking the Board of Supervisors again this year to fly the flag. I have checked with Lars; he does still have the flag, and he's ready for you guys. You will be joining roughly 11 agencies, 20 flags that'll be flown all around Lake County. And so it'll be highlighting during the entire month. And then on Friday, the 4th Friday, April 24th at 9 a.m. at the Sheriff's Office, we will be doing the final flag raising in honor of Children's Memorial Day. And that's the day that we honor, again, the children that were lost to child abuse and neglect. Child abuse prevention is not just about programs and policies. It is about the everyday decisions that we make in communities. For the Board of Supervisors, those decisions often come in the form of policies, funding priorities, and strategic planning. We encourage you to continue keeping children and families in mind whenever you make those decisions. It could be some of the something that you don't traditionally think of that apply to children, but if you think about how may this impact our children and our families, we may start to see that some of those policies will change. Thank you. I think that's all I got.
Was there anyone else?
We have one right up here.
Good morning, everyone. Kimberly Guerra, Program Manager with Redwood Community Services. Thank you for recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and thank you all for being here. At Redwood Community Services, we believe protecting children starts with strengthening families and communities. Prevention isn't just about reporting harm. It's about creating safe, stable, and supportive environments where children and families can thrive. Every positive relationship, every moment of listening, and every time we connect a family to support makes a difference. This month, we invite our community to stand with us by learning the signs, speaking up when something doesn't feel right, and helping build a culture where children are seen, heard, and protected. Together, prevention is possible, and together we can help every child grow up safe and supported. If you're interested in becoming a resource family or foster parent, please go to our website, redwoodcommunityservices.org. We have a lot of opportunities if you need referrals to services, but every children deserves protection, support, and love. Thank you.
So I have an additional comment as a concerned member of the community and as somebody who's worked in child welfare for 35 years. So I've seen a lot of efforts, I think this is a societal challenge that we will always have to respond to. And I love the energy that I see here in Lake County year after year. I think the board members are aware of the efforts over past years to bring attention to the adverse childhood experiences and to be aware of what trauma looks like and how that's affecting so many of us. And I, as a child welfare professional, am thrilled to see that the research is now pointing us to the healthy outcomes of positive experiences. And I would just like to plant that, highlight that. I think that didn't escape you, but what a joy to understand that supporting things that we think are healthy for our community is actually preventing child abuse. So I it brings me pleasure because I think this is something that most people can wrap their heads around. When you think about very therapeutic or professionally specific ways to intervene in child abuse and neglect, that seems a little harder. Certain people have that skill set. But all of us have the skill set of saying, I get it. Is it good for the children? Let's support that thing. So I just would like to, I know and I trust that you will keep that in your thinking every time something comes before your board and you consider, wow, this is actually going to help us prevent child neglect. So thank you for caring.
Thank you. Anything from board members? No? Any public comment? No. We do have a public comment in the room. Come up to the microphone, please.
So I'm a parent of 21-year-old survivors of ACEs, and I just want to thank this group and groups like this across the country that help parents, one or another of the parents or the family as a whole, address these problems when they arise. My 21-year-old kids are successful and happy and healthy, and I'm proud to be their dad.
Thank you. I think we're ready for a picture, Trevor, if you can do it.
No, you're fine.
With that, we're going to call our morning break as well. Meeting, am I on, Sam? Yeah. I'm going to call our meeting back to order. We're going to move on to our 6.8, 9:30 item. We're going to be sitting as the Board of Directors for the Lake County Watershed Protection District for consideration of presentation provided by O'Connor Environmental Incorporated regarding the Clear Lake Hitch hydrology study. And Mr. Apadier, are you going to start this out?
Yeah. Good morning, board. So I'm gonna just give a brief overview of the study which Water Board is undertaking, and Connor Environmental Inc. is the consultant working for their project. So this is like an integrated hydrologic modeling study which interacts between the surface water and the groundwater. So this would be like, though it's not like a direct habitat study, but it does influence the, this model will serve as a scientific decision support tool for identifying water management decision and strategies to balance ecological need and the beneficial water use in the Big Valley Basin. And I think I'm gonna hand it over to Matt from here, and then he can provide the updates on their study.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you, Board. I appreciate your making some time in your calendar, and I will try to be brief, though it's a complicated topic. And Val Zimmer is also here from representing the Water Board. So the objectives of this study are to collect and analyze information about surface water, groundwater, stream geomorphology, and hitch, also known as the chai, spawning habitat in the Clear Lake tributary streams, and this is going to be primarily in the Big Valley area. We're seeking to better understand the status of hitch habitat and the effects of surface and groundwater use on stream flow and that habitat. Ultimately, the study and the model that is at the heart of the study is going to be used to evaluate water management strategies that can enhance in-stream flows, focusing on the spring spawning season of the chai. Go to the next slide, thank you. So the study has several components. A major one that we've been working on mostly is monitoring and data collection, beginning a couple years ago, and we're wrapping up the data collection now. The data is stream flow, groundwater elevation, water depths in streams for fish migration, and we're compiling a great deal of existing data and information from other studies, including much data that the County of Lake has collected over the years in its groundwater monitoring efforts. We're now heavily into the hydrologic analysis part of this project. We're been analyzing and interpreting field data that we've collected, and have been implementing a hydrologic model using a model code called Mike Shee that is going to integrate all this information and allow us to make some recommendations about management and just better understand how the systems work. There are other aspects, including coordination with many of the tribal entities and other agencies, and we're doing some technical assistance and knowledge transfer. Next slide, please. So quick overview of what the hydrologic study is in big picture. We're creating a numerical hydrologic model using this Mike Shee model code, and it is something that you can think of as a decision support tool. It's a model that will use various assumptions and data and what we call model scenarios to ask questions about how the system works and how different kinds of water use might affect stream flow and habitat. And this model is very, very good for these purposes. It synthesizes all this complicated data and provides a unified, comprehensive description of hydrologic conditions and processes. The model that we're creating will help predict location and quantity of surface flows relative to the habitat requirements of hitch under different climate conditions, meaning dry years versus wet years, for instance. It will help us evaluate the cumulative effects of land and water use on stream flow, prioritize stream reaches for restoration based on flow availability, and predict the effectiveness of different strategies to maintain and enhance stream flow for hitch spawning. Next slide. Thank you. This is a map on the left of the Big Valley area. Lakeport is just off the edge on the northwest corner of the map there. But there are a variety of gauges. Some are run by USGS. Some of them are run by the State Department of Water Resources. Some of the gauges are gauge sites that O'Connor Environmental has been working on through cooperation with the cooperating growers who have made their land available for us to put stream gauges. And there's some sites that the Big Valley tribe has also been working on. Next slide, please. There's groundwater elevation monitoring in wells, a few that we've been working on with the State Water Board, and many more wells that the county has been monitoring for many years. We do some seepage runs, which just means measuring stream flow along the length of a stream to understand whether water's coming into the stream or going out of the stream. There are some pump tests that we've had access to that help us understand the aquifer properties that get applied in the model. And we've been looking at fish passage issues in our stream gauging work, looking at local areas where the riffles that the fish have to pass may be getting shallow, and we're trying to understand what the limits of that water depth are that they can pass. Next slide, please. Again, a little more general material on the hydrologic study. Again, the model is looking at all the natural processes in the hydrologic cycle, which is the cartoon there on the bottom left. Precipitation is the primary input to the model, and it will calculate evapotranspiration, runoff, soil moisture, groundwater, stream flow, et cetera. And it can also take into account irrigation, how wells are using water, ponds, diversions, the whole shebang in the water world. Next slide, please.
Question real quick. Apologize. I was just looking at the last slide, if it's possible to go back.
Sure.
And I see the man-made influences, and I see the water cycle, and the water cycle is still the same, but I feel like it's the water cycle times 10 with climate change, where we're seeing massive rain, not small amount of rain, and like it's a vastly different just climate that we're enduring. And does that have any place in this study to better understand? Because I hear these these presentations from time to time, and I never really understand where climate change fits into the model, rather than almost like that complicates things, so we're just going to kind of put that to the side. Because is it possible to get to a place where we say, here's how we can solve the problem, versus we're screwed because climate change is going to create so many imbalances in what we understand? I don't know. I just felt the need to ask question. Where does climate change fit into this? Because I don't see it in the man-made influences.
Yeah, that's a good question. In this particular implementation of the model, we're going to be modeling the years 2015 through 2025. So there are some of those extreme hydrologic dry years, wet years that'll be embedded in the model. We're not explicitly in this model, although we have done this in prior models that we've worked on, is actually done the climate change work. There's a lot of climate modeling that's been done, and we have used this model to forecast how things would work in different climate settings. That is not part of this implementation, but it is possible to do. Good question. So this model, I just want to take a moment because there are a lot of models that have been done. There's been the Sigma model for this same study area that's recently created, and the model that we're using is a little bit unique in that is what we call fully distributed and physically based, meaning the fully distributed means it's just assigning values to the whole landscape and treating all the landscape more or less equally in the model, and well, not equally, but according to its characteristics. And physically based means we're using physics. Basically, what are the gravitational and other processes that move water around in a watershed? So it's very explicit and reality based, if you will, and is very data intensive. This particular model code isn't widely used in the U.S., but it has a long history and is well respected. And the main difference of it as a model structure is it recognizes the interactions in that figure on the lower right. There are some different parts of the water process cycle. There's surface water, groundwater, overland flow, and flow through the soil into these things. And this model attempts to account for all the interactions between those things, which is very different than many groundwater models. Next slide, please. And just, I'm bringing this slide up just the prior question about bringing climate change into it. These prior studies that we've worked on, we did actually bring climate change into it. And I'm just showing you these studies, this prior work that we've done to give you some comfort or confidence that we've worked on this problem before, mostly in the context of coho salmon habitat in the lower Russian River. But this is a very similar application. So we've got good experience using this model for very similar issues. Next slide, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go, I'm trying to move fast. I'm going to try to move through this stuff pretty fast to just give you an overview of the kinds of data and the data sources. Just you can kind of let this wash over you, but just to help you appreciate what goes into this. The model domain is the Big Valley Groundwater Basin, which is essentially the same as the Sigma Basin for Big Valley, but we're also including in our model all the contributing watersheds, all the watersheds that drain into the Big Valley Groundwater Basin. And we're implementing this at a fairly small grid scale, so the little pixels in the model are about a 1.6 acre, and we characterize a stream cross-section, which is the geometry, the shape of the stream bed, where we have streams every 250 feet. So it's pretty spatially intense, and there's a daily time step for the model, so most of the time we have some sort of a value for each of these processes on a daily basis, but for stream flow we go to hourly. And as I said before, we're doing a 10-year simulation which covers the period 2015 to 2025, which has quite a spread of climate conditions in terms of rainfall. Next slide. So this is just kind of a cartoon to just say there are all these different components of the landscape and conditions that go into the model, and they kind of overlay each other so that each 1.6 acre grid cell in the model has a family of characteristics that go with it, so that each of those pixels interact with each other according to these laws of physics that create the movement of water on the landscape and underground. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through this series of about 7 or 8 slides quickly, and again, just to give you additional perspective on what goes into this. In the text boxes with the bullets, there's blue text, and the blue text is telling you about the sort of the primary hydrologic feature that is being described, and in the bullet points that are in black, it's about the sort of the data in the back office of the model, if you will, that is critical to simulating those things. So stream flow and ponds and reservoirs are part of the surface water domain that we've named the main creeks that we're looking at in the model, at least with data. There are other creeks will be modeled, but these are the primary ones: Manning, Adobe, Magaw, Slough, Kelsey Creek, and Coal Creek. Next slide, please. So topography is critical in a model because gravity is the primary thing that moves water. So the colorful map is topography, a topographic map with the high elevation in white and the low elevation in green. But that's from LiDAR, which you probably heard about. It creates a very detailed topographic information. And then also we have some LiDAR that was flown by CDFW in a habitat study that it has also been working on for a few of those creeks, and that's the stuff shown in gray and black on those stream beds. And that kind of LiDAR actually sees through the water, so we get a little better stream bed topography than we would otherwise get. Next slide, please. Precipitation is the driver of the model. We're using precipitation data stations that are already existing and have long-term records. There are a few different sort of categories there. The areas with the black lines around them are parts of the model domain that we're actually working in. And there isn't always data exactly where we need it. And sometimes the time series data isn't available, so we have to fill in data from other places. So we're using the available data, and that's gives you some idea of the spread of it. Next slide, please. Potential evapotranspiration. That has to do with just how much water is being used by vegetation, and we're using a slightly different version of this that's taking directly into account the solar radiation and temperature to help better predict that important variable. And there is agricultural stations that also are available for this, and there's one just outside to the west there that we've got identified as our primary CIMMYS station that's available. Next slide, please. Land cover is basically vegetation. There are available databases that we're using that will help us understand the evapotranspiration, water use by plants, and runoff. Rooting depth and leaf area index are important components of that we have access to. Next slide. Soils are, of course, very important in water storage in the soil. How water moves through the soil as unsaturated flow down to the water table, what's available for evapotranspiration, and also the runoff and recharge characteristics. And this data is from USDA Soil Service, and this is commonly used in models. And we group this data into sort of larger families of soils rather than the most detailed for these purposes of this model. Next slide. And then finally, the hydrogeology is what the aquifer material is, how it's distributed in depth, and that's a very complicated picture. We're using available prior studies, and we're also looking at well completion reports that are available to us, and creating a new set of maps, such as what's shown in this cross section, where we're characterizing the materials across all the different wells to do the best representation of what the subsurface conditions are like. And we're getting help also from some other surveys that have been done, high technology stuff. AEM is a aerial electronic imaging for the subsurface to describe conditions at depth, which is new technology and has been collected in this area, and that's been very helpful to us. And next slide. Water use is in the model to understand. This is one of the primary issues in the basin. It's understanding how the water use affects stream flow and groundwater, and so we've got data from the state's information order. There's the standard information that's available through the state water board's data sources on permitted water use. We use census data and municipal use data, county permits for other uses that, such as wineries, cannabis, and the DWR crop database for ag uses is another source. Next one. Fish habitat, again, this isn't really a fish habitat study, but we want to have hydrology that informs fish habitats. We're wanting to know what streams are habitat for hitch spawning and some understanding of what they have historically experienced in terms of drying and problems with hitch getting stranded and that sort of thing. We're taking advantage of some other studies that have been done. The Big Valley Tribe has done a study on Adobe Creek for habitat suitability. We're learning about the stream disconnections and fish rescues that have happened. CDFW is doing an in-stream flow study. We're familiar with that and have been trying to coordinate with the data they have that's useful to us. And we've also been looking at locations where we've been gauging stream flow, about how stream flow translates into the depth of flow, which limits the ability for the chi to move through the stream. Next slide. Finally, at the end here, the schedule we're on, the monitoring and data collection work, we're pretty close to done with. The hydrologic model is all but complete, which says we would be sort of have that model done as of last month. We're almost there, not quite. We've got a couple more data streams that we're pulling in, but we're very close. And then we'll immediately start running the model and calibrating the model. Later this summer and fall, we'll start doing scenario analysis, and that's where we'll start asking questions about, if changing water use, reducing water use, trying to get the sensitivity of water use to stream flow, trying to get at some of the questions we're interested in trying to illuminate to help make good policy decisions. The key milestones are meetings that we had last fall. We'll have more meetings this fall and again in spring 2007. That wasn't a bad time for it to cut out because there wasn't much more to say. So I apologize for having sort of a data-heavy drone for you. It's hard to be very quick about it, but I hope that gives you at least some appreciation for the depth of data that are getting employed for this. And next time, or about a year from now, the study should be complete, and we'll be maybe giving you a presentation about what we found, and be a little more fun to look at that than the guts of how the model gets put up. If there are any questions, happy to try to answer them for you.
Thank you. Board members, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, appreciate that, and definitely looking forward to a little bit more of understanding on just the impacts right now. This is more of an overview of where we are versus the findings or the initial findings, which I'm sure you don't want to share just in case it goes the opposite direction when you're done analyzing everything.
No findings yet. We're collecting data and assembling the models.
So I know that the information order, I forget what year we've had that conversation, but it was supposed to happen for 1 year to collect that data. Was it just 1 year, or was that extended?
It was just 1 year.
Okay. And so the rest of the data that you're collecting is not based on the
the information order was specifically for water use, and that data was collected for 2024. We have continued to do with Lake County Land Stewards some continuation of the stream flow monitoring.
Okay.
So we've done stream flow measurement in 2024 and 2025, and we did a little bit over this last winter just to help with our rating curves, but we're not including generally 2026 data.
Okay. Yeah, looking forward to the final report just to see what the effects are and what's going on.
Anything else from board members? Not seeing any at this point. Director Apatier, anything further?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have anybody in the room who would wish to comment? Go ahead, Margot.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Margot Kambara, and board members. Supervisors, 2 questions, and one has to do with your primary activity during this time is data collection. So my question is, in the Big Valley, would you find it helpful to get more well data that's available from discretionary use permits. I understand from your presentation you are collecting county data that is available from permits, but I was wondering if you could comment on that specifically, because those discretionary use permits are supposed to report on well readings each year. And my other question was, early in your presentation, you mentioned evaluating the cumulative impact of land and water use. And if you can comment on that more specifically, or if that was just the umbrella for your entire presentation, then that's fine with me. Thank you.
Thank
Sure,
you, Margot. Thank you, Margot.
Yeah, is it okay for me to just go ahead?
Let me see if there's any other comment first. Is there anyone else in the room? And none online? Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So with respect to data from discretionary permits, we are using pump test data from the cannabis program where pump tests were required for county permits, and that's been very helpful. With respect to any monitoring data that might go with those, I'm not certain whether we're using any of that, but that's something I can follow up on, and I appreciate the suggestion. With respect to the effects of, cumulative effects of land use and water use, that is not just sort of a throwaway line in the discussion. That's really kind of what the whole study is about. By looking at a 10-year modeling period, we're going to have a pretty good understanding of how much effect there may be on sort of water table and stream flow. Maybe best way to think about it is comparing, climate effects versus use effects. I think that'll be the real big contrast in the things that we're looking at, because what we've observed is that most of these streams will go dry at some point in the summer. And it's a hypothesis, but it's likely in drier years, drier winters, that's probably going to happen sooner. But we don't have all the information analyzed yet. But that's an example of what we expect to see in those scenario analyses and just looking at the data. And that cumulative effect is sort of understanding how that varies from year to year. Whether say in a dry year there's like a hangover to the next year. If you had like really extended drought, there's a lot of groundwater recharge that happens even in a drought year, but maybe it's hard for the aquifers to recover, and the stream flow is suppressed for maybe to a second year, rather than the probably more typical and most average water years. I think the stream flow and rainfall is enough to recharge the aquifers so that you have more or less normal stream flow conditions. So trying to unravel the difference between climate and management uses is one of the key aspects of the study.
Thank you. And I do have one more public comment online. Sarah Ryan. Sarah, you go ahead, identify yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. This is Sarah Ryan. I'm the environmental director for the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians, and great presentation. It's great to see the work that's being done to understand the groundwater surface water interaction, particularly in Big Valley, where we do see streams drying up earlier than the Clear Lake Hitch can make it back to the lake. I do want to mention there is a slide that was shown, and we have been speaking with the consultant, and we'll be providing him data, but just so that the board is aware, in terms of the information that Big Valley is collecting, we also have flow monitoring in multiple creeks. We also have pressure transducers that are measuring basically the depth of water in Adobe Creek, and we also have the fish observations and rescues. So we do plan on sharing that, and as well as groundwater or surface water elevation of the groundwater wells in multiple areas along Kelsey and Adobe Creeks. So we're really happy to be sharing that information. It's a program that we started in 2018, and because we do think it's important to see how, especially in drought years, see what's happening to and understand through scientific measurement what's happening to the flows in the creeks, because it's so critical that they be that the flow remains through the full spawning year. We for the last 3 years, our fisheries team has rescued more than 25,000 hitch in the Big Valley Creeks alone. Due to the flow not being maintained through the full season, they get stranded in puddles and pools of water in the creeks due to low flow. And of course, there's a lot of reasons for it, but being able to understand whether some, groundwater pumping or other things are impacting that flow is critical to having good management policies to protect the natural resources of the area. So we're excited about this project. And I guess the question I have is just after the modeling and information is compiled, and this is a State Water Resources Control Board project, are we to assume that the water boards is going to move forward with identifying some key management activities to be able to protect the flow and the hitch during the hitch spawning season? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I think this one's for me. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate your comments. Yeah, so when the modeling is completed, when we take a look at what's going on, I think we do want to identify areas that we can potentially have success on, right? If the streams are going dry in a dry year and there's not a lot that can be done, that might not be where we want to focus. But there may be other areas of focus, and I don't really want to speculate right now on what those would be. But, there may be areas where we can try and, build in some resilience between year to year in the system. Anything that can support the needs of the county and the fish would be something we'd be looking at. And of course, continue to facilitate other restoration actions that have been going on in the last few years. Anything that we can do to grease the wheels, so to speak, to support those projects, we would like to continue to do. So it's a little too early to say right now what we could or could not do, but we are going to be continuing to look at that, and especially as the data starts to come back in.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and I believe that was it. I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Not seeing any, and there is no action on this presentation only, so we thank you for bringing that in. We'll look forward to hearing more later.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we need to call a short break.
What'd you do, Johanna?
Call the meeting back to order. We're going to move on to our 10 a.m. item, which is consideration of the following assessment appeal, application 15-2024, Myers Storage LLC. And we're going to be setting as the Board of Equalization for this item. And the first order of business is to swear in any witnesses, and that includes folks in the room and online. So if you're online, you'll need to use the raise your hand feature to be able to be sworn by the clerk. And with that, I think we can go ahead and swear in Johanna.
With your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Yeah. And I see Rob Brown and I think the appellant's there too, so we're good. Do you want me to unmute Rob Brown so he can say?
If he's a witness, he'll need
Oh, yeah,
to
okay.
confirm that he's sworn in.
Okay, Rob is unmuted. All right, he's not saying anything.
Okay, thank you. You can go ahead and be seated. I want to clarify, this is a non-owner occupied property, is that true?
Correct.
So I believe in that case, the assessor recorder would present first. So if you have a, yeah, non-owner occupied, so you would present first.
At the corner, in the right corner. Yeah, right there. Try to introduce. Good morning, board. My name's Landai Janakis. I'm assistant assessor recorder. And here with me, Michelle Bocchignani. She will present the appeal number 15/2024.
Good morning. Thank you, board. So today, let me see. We are appealing, working the appeal for Myers Storage. Let's see, where do we? It is 3584A North Main Street, Kelseyville. It's a 12,000 square foot mini storage facility on an approximately 0.62 acre graveled lot. The 9/6/23 $700,000 sale was a direct from seller financer transaction, not an open market sale. The assessor's office appraised the property at $4.5 million due to a change in ownership on September 6th, 2023, using the comparable sales method in accordance with BOE Property Tax Rule 4. Mr. Myers contacted the assessor's office and requested an informal review of the assessment. The property owner provided the income and expense documentation as requested by the assessor's office for its review. Upon the request, the assessor's office reappraised the property using the income approach in accordance with BOE Property Tax Rule 8. Based on the income and expense information provided by the property owner, the assessor's office determined a value of $1,210,000. The property owner disagreed with that reassessed valuation of $1,210,000 and filed a formal appeal asserting that the value should be reduced to the $700,000 purchase price. The assessor's office used 4 approaches to value: the cost approach, the income approach, the comparable sales approach, and the cash equivalence approach. The total value of the property using the income approach was $1,210,000. The total value of the property using the cost approach was $913,000. The total value of the property using the comparable sale approach was $1,440,000. And the total value of the property using the full cash equivalence approach is $1,058,000. This slide here shows the income and expenses that were provided by the Myers. It is also in the addendum in the back for, for larger scale viewing. For Rule 8, the income approach to value, following the guidelines set forth by the Board of Equalization, the income approach was used to assess the value of the property at $1,210,000. Corrections were made to the tax roll and the supplemental tax bill. The cost approach, using the Assessor's Handbook 502, the cost approach is most reliable when the property being appraised is relatively new and has experienced little depreciation. Valid components of cost, full economic costs necessary to construct real property and ready it for its intended use include 1. Direct costs, 2. Indirect costs, and 3. Entrepreneurial profit. Direct costs are labor, materials, fees for building permits, contractors' profit and overhead, equipment rental, other costs that relate directly to the physical aspects of a construction project. Indirect costs are those expenditures other than labor and materials incurred in bringing the property to a finished state, such as developers' administrative expenses, environmental impact studies, property taxes during construction, architectural and engineering fees, construction insurance, interest on borrowed or owner-supplied funds. The entrepreneurial profit is profits refers to a market-derived estimate of what the entrepreneur expects to receive for his or her contribution. In general, entrepreneurial profit reflects the developer's expected reward for his or her expertise and risk-taking, i.e., his or her entrepreneurial services. So for Rule 6, the reproduction and replacement cost approach to value. An appraiser visited the property February 19th, 2026 to measure and take pictures. Using the Marshall and Swift cost guides, the cost approach was used to determine a cost value of $913,000. There is a larger picture of this as well in the addendum. The full cash value with present value of interest. Interest is the cost of borrowing or the return on investment, rent for money, usually calculated as a percentage rate. Present value of interest, PVI, is the current worth of a specific amount of interest to be received in the future, adjusted for the time value of money. This is according to principlesofaccounting.com. Full cash value should also include the assignment of rents stated in the deed of trust recorded 9/6/2023 in doc number 20230099716, and a copy of that is in the addendum. The rent information is unknown and not included. And as you can see, the factored forward interest was shown here in the slide. Document 20230099716 was recorded on September 6th of 2023. This was a short form deed of trust and assignment of rents. And in here it stipulates that this deed of trust and the notes secured hereby are given and accepted as a portion of the purchase price, together with the rents, issues, and profits thereof. The applicants gave us a comparable property. The assessor's office was provided with a single sale for a comparable by the applicant. It was for sale at the time of purchase, and that was at 4655 Lakeshore Boulevard in Lakeport. It was built in 1948 with 50 storage units, a licensed mobile home, and a SFD on 0.85 acres. It listed October 23, 2021 for $975,000. and sold May 16th, 2025 for $750,000. The sale date is out of the 90 days past the subject sale date to be used as a comparable sale. That is a rule from the Board of Equalization that we have to follow. We are only allowed 90 days past the sale date to use it as a comparable sale. The next screen shows several storage facilities, actual storage facilities that sold in that time range between 2022 and 2023. As you can see, there are 5 sales in there, ranging from $5 million to $8.5 million. 2 of them that were in the $1 million range. One of them was a date of death transfer, and the other one was also a seller financed. The other 5 were just unlisted sales. And that is where we got our comparable sales from. And we made the $4.4 million, and we made the adjustments to get down to the 4.4 out of those. Reassessment, using original comparable sales of the storage facilities and in-depth assessment was worked. Adjustments were made on the differences in the following: acreage, storage, space, and condition. The comparable value is found to be $1,444,000. The comparable sales in this instance is not the best approach to value, as the adjustments needed were extensive due to limited comparables. Approaches to value final assessments. The Assessor's Office has determined a range of values using the 3 approaches to value, as well as the full cash value as set forth by the Board of Equalization. The comparable approach was at $1,440,000. The income approach was $1,210,000. The cost approach was $913,000, and the full cash value was $1,058,000. The Assessor's Office final opinion of value is the $1,210,000 income approach. The Assessor's Office opinion for not accepting the original sales price: the purchase price of $700,000 was not a listed open market sale. The purchase was direct from seller and was not an arm's length transaction as set forth by the Board of Equalization. The seller financed the loan for interest income on full cash value. The loan amount was $557,000 using the average market interest rate of 6%. The present value of interest income is $358,374, rounded down, bringing the full cash value to $1,058,000. The Assessor's Office sent a formal request for financing information to the appellant via BOE Form 441D. This requested information was not supplied by the appellant. Our conclusion: all Board of Equalization's approaches to value have been utilized to find the range of value for 3584A North Main Street, Kelseyville. The comparable approach value is $1,440,000 and is the least reliable indication of value due to the lack of listed market sales. It is still defendable. The full cash value of $1,058,000 is a good and defendable indicator of value. The cost approach indicates a value of $913,000, which is the lowest of the approaches to value and is a good and defendable indicator of value. The income approach indicates a value of $1,210,000 and is the best indicator of value for the income producing property and is the best and most defendable indicator of value. The Assessor's Office opinion of value is the $1,210,000 income approach, as this is an income property, but the Assessor's Office is willing to accept and can defend any of the values presented, and the Assessor's Office respectfully requests that the Board determine the appropriate value to be enrolled for the assessment purposes. Thank you.
That concludes your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Myers, we'll turn it over to you for...
May I stand and speak if I speak loud and clearly?
Yeah.
May I stand to speak?
Are you able to use the mic while you're standing, or we can try this one here? Here's one.
Or there's this one. Could I use this one behind me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good morning, Board. I understand that the decision made today can't be based on feelings or emotions, but I want to set a little bit of a context for everyone here today. I am 7th generation Lake County. My family's been here our whole lives. You can find my Eagle Scout project on Renfro Drive at the Pioneer Cemetery that I placed there nearly 20 years ago. I've been a law enforcement officer in the community for 13 years. When my wife and I met, she was a 911 dispatcher serving the community. We were married in Kelseyville on Gaddy Lane. Our son attends the Canocti Christian Academy in Kelseyville. As you'll see, many of the comparables that the county listed up here, when you look at their owner addresses, they're all in Los Angeles and the Bay Area. My family has been here. We're going to stay here. We are invested in this community. In August of 2019, the previous owner purchased this land, raw land, for $110,000. Over the course of several years, he spent $117,000 on the foundation and costs associated with that, and he spent $178,000 on the buildings, permits, and materials to erect the buildings. He built 12,000 square feet of storage unit facilities. That was the maximum allowable space to be built by the county. There is no additional infrastructure that can be built on this property. When the previous owner built, he included no additional infrastructure. There's no water, there's no paving, no gravel, no electricity, no fencing, no lights, no cameras, there's no office, there's no fire sprinklers, nothing. He bought a commercial piece of land, put down 3 series of cement pads and 3 series of metal buildings, and he stopped. During this time of the previous owner building, I approached him and expressed interest in buying it. He showed me the previously mentioned property at 4655 Lakeshore Boulevard in Lakeport, which was on the market for about $950,000 in 2023, and we subtracted the price of the 2 residences on that property, and he believed that property, subtracted the price of the residences, had a value just over $600,000. He obviously needed to make a profit, and we negotiated and landed on a sale price of $700,000. In September of 2023, my wife and I bought the property for $700,000. This is clearly documented in a legal contract facilitated by a title company. That full legal contract can be found in Exhibit 13 of the binders in front of you. In June of 24, we received the reassessment for $4,500,000. Later that week in June, I came and I believed that it must have been a clerical error to go from $700,000 to $4.5 million, and believing that an additional 0 had just been placed onto that, meaning $450,000. And I was told that no, it was in fact $4.5 million, and that this number had been come to the conclusion, much as what the county discussed, saying that they compared us, or they found this average sale price of the last 3 storage unit facilities that were sold in the county of Lake, and that's how they got to that $4.5 million mark. In June of 24, we exchanged several emails with David Schwanger, who was the assistant assessor recorder at the time. All of those emails can be found in Exhibit 9 of the books in front of you. During that time, we were told that since the facility was not listed, it does not count as open market, and they can't take the purchase price as fair market value. We're also told that self-storage and gas station facilities are high dollar sales in the county currently, and the income approach is the final way to value the property, so we needed to submit a rent schedule and rent roll to include profit and loss statements with expenses, total number of units, corresponding rent size, and their monthly rent associated. Those emails can be seen in Exhibit 9. In July of 24, we received an email from Schwanger saying the new value could now be reduced from $4.5 million to $1,210,000 based on the income value. Based on this, we filed the official appeal, which leads us here today. In December of last year, 2025, we had a meeting with the 2 women at the desk and Richard Ford, and we were told that the lowest that they could come down to would be $1 million based on the cost approach. The prior owner also came to this meeting and again brought the 4655 Lakeshore Boulevard property to their attention, and we were told that that could not be used as it had not sold. In February of this year, we exchanged an email with Ms. Buchignani, who questioned whether or not the property had fire sprinklers. We explained to her that it did not have fire sprinklers, and with that information, she agreed to lower the assessed value to $960,000. Also in February, we were requested to provide all of our storage unit agreements. We declined to supply these copies. We do not believe that the contractual agreements between the business and its tenants matter towards our property taxes, and our agreements have the tenants' confidential information on them. Also in February of this year, we saw that the property on Lakeshore Drive did in fact sell for $750,000. We emailed this information to the county. If you'll please turn to Exhibit 15 in your book. You can see the email that we corresponded with them. In this email, we explain all of the unit sizes the number of those units, and the fact that that facility that sold for $750,000 was 12,287 square feet. Just 287 square feet larger than our facility, and it sold for $750,000. That facility also included a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot residence. If you apply a very conservative value of that residence at $200 a square foot, which I think we can all agree is a very conservative value based on the current construction economy, you're left with a value for that residence of $260,000. If you subtract the $260 for that residence from the sale price of $750, you're left with $490,000, which is what the true value of that property is. I'd also like to note that this property sat on the market for nearly 4 years to include 6 price reductions until it finally hit its fair market value of $750,000. Any property that would need to have 6 price reductions, clearly the market does not support the higher price that they were attempting to sell it at. In our email correspondence with Michelle, she supplied us with the tax codes that say how they cannot use that as a sale because it had not sold within 90 days. In subsection D of her email, it states, when valuing a property by a comparison with sales of other properties, the board may consider those sales that, in its judgment, involve properties similar in size, quality, age, condition, utility, amenities, site location, that are legally permitted, or other physical attributes to the property being valued. I'd also like to note that the property that sold in Lakeport was also fully fenced and gated and asphalted, which ours is not. This allows the board to accept it as a comparable, even though it did not fall within the same 90-day time frame of the sale. This property sold in 2023 for $700,000 in a negotiated transaction between unrelated parties. There was no distress, no foreclosure, no family relationship, and no internal transfer. It was a real market transaction. As stated by the county, the financing was 20% down with a 7% fixed rate and a standard 5-year commercial balloon. Those were normal terms in 2023. There's nothing artificial about this transaction. Revenue and Tax Code Section 110 defines market value as the amount a property would bring between a willing buyer and a willing seller, neither under compulsion. That is exactly what occurred here. The statute does not require MLS exposure. It does not require public advertising. It requires freedom from duress and open negotiation. Those conditions were satisfied. Commercial real estate routinely trades off market. Broker networks, private investor channels, and direct negotiations are common in this asset class. The MLS exposure, if MLS exposure were required for market value, then a substantial percentage of commercial transactions across the state would have to be ignored. That is not the law. Market value is determined by competitive negotiation, not by marketing platform. Even foreclosure sales conducted on courthouse steps with no MLS exposure are routinely recognized as market evidence when competitive forces are present. The absence of MLS exposure is not evidence of a discount. It is simply how commercial real estate often trades. This property was purchased as part of a 1031 exchange. That means the buyer, Meyer Storage LLC, which is just my wife and I, was reinvesting capital under IRS deadlines. A 1031 buyer is not distressed. They are an active market participant deploying capital. These transactions reflect real market demand. They do not invalidate market pricing. If anything, they demonstrate that the property was desirable enough to qualify as replacement property in a competitive investment environment. There is no evidence of concessionary terms. There is no evidence of relationship influence. Speculation is not evidence. The 7% interest rate was consistent with the 2023 commercial lending rates. The 20% down payment is typical. The 5-year balloon is standard commercial structure. We have an actual, recent, negotiated sale between unrelated parties under normal commercial terms. This is the strongest indicator of market value available. To disregard it would require evidence of distortion, distress, relationship, concessionary financing, or compulsion. None of those exist. Therefore, the $700,000 sale price is the best evidence of fair market value. This appeal is supported by all three recognized approaches to value: the sale comparison approach, the income approach, and the cost approach. Each one independently supports a value materially lower than the county's enrolled value of $1.21 million. Most importantly, the property actually sold in 2023 for $700,000, or just over $58 a square foot. That real-world transaction remains the strongest indicator of market value. In Exhibit 3 through 7 in books in front of you, you can see the county's comparable indication of approximately $1 million, or $83 a square foot, which represents a 43% premium over the actual sale price. However, when we compare the subject property to the storage facilities presented, our property has no electricity, no water, no sewer, no office, no paved drive aisles, no perimeter fencing, no security gates, no fire sprinklers. We have gravel driveways, solar lights, and solar cameras. We are basic slab-on-grade construction. All the properties that were previously mentioned, they have paved drive aisles, electrical services, lighting systems, gated security, fencing, offices, some of which include living quarters, and restrooms. They're larger scale and superior utility. These are not cosmetic differences. They directly affect rent levels, operating efficiency, security, tenant demand, and resale value. After reasonable adjustments for utilities, paving, security, and scale, the market-supported range for a basic utility-limited facility like mine is approximately $40 to $60 a square foot. Our purchase price of $58 a square foot falls squarely within that range. The county's implied $83 a square foot does not. Per the county's income approach worksheet shown in Exhibit 9, the subject property stabilized net operating income is approximately $85,000. Given Lake County's secondary market location, no utilities, no office, no paving, gates, and limited operational efficiencies, once again being we cannot build more than 12,000 square feet. There is no more buildable room on this lot. A cap rate in the 10 to 12% range is far more reflective of risk and buyer expectations than a 6 to 8% primary market range. At a 12% cap rate, the indicated value is approximately $715,000, which closely mirrors the actual purchase price of $700,000. The county's enrolled value implies a cap rate near or below 7%, which is inconsistent with the property's risk profile, its lack of utilities and infrastructure, and Lake County's secondary market. The income approach simply does not support a value above $1 million and strongly supports a value near the actual sale price. As shown in Exhibit 2 in your books, the facility was built in 2020 using basic construction, slab on grade, steel roll-up doors, no electrical infrastructure, no plumbing, no fire suppression, and minimal site work. This is a low-cost, utility-limited build. Even without heavy depreciation, the cost approach does not reasonably support the county's $1.21 million valuation once the land and functional limitations are properly considered. An $83 to $100 square foot valuation reflects a facility that is fully paved with security gates and offices, higher rent potential, and lower operational risk. That is not this property. This is a lean, low overhead, basic rural storage unit facility. The assessment appears to reflect a higher quality property than what physically exists. All three valuation approaches converge towards the same conclusion. The sales comparison approach supports a range that includes $58 a square foot. The income approach supports a value near $700,000 at market cap. And the cost approach does not justify the county's inflated assessment. The enrolled value of $1,210,000 is unsupported by the evidence and materially overstates the market value. For these reasons, I respectfully request the board reduce the assessed value of the verified 2023 purchase price of $700,000.
Thank you. Do you have any witnesses you want to offer at this time, or?
If Rob Brown is logged in and wishes to say anything. Guess not.
Anything, Johanna? You can unmute Mr. Brown and go ahead. Provide testimony.
Would it be appropriate to call him?
1 second. Wait. See if we can unmute him.
Or muted.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us? You text him or
He's calling me. Can I answer it?
you go ahead.
Can you please unmute your microphone? Can you hear me?
Mr. Brown, go ahead. Does the assessor have any rebuttal to the presentation provided by Mr. Myers?
The only thing I would have to say is some of his information is outdated. We have, since the last appeal when we postponed, we have still done work on this, and so the cost approach is down to, like I said, I think it's 912. It's in your, he has a, so.
Okay.
We took off the things like at first we'd had the sprinklers on there and we took those off. When we visited the site, we saw that the sign wasn't a metal sign, it was a wood sign. There was no water and, yeah, so it's just the basics straight out of Marshall Swift.
Okay. Anything further with Mr. Brown?
He said it's not allowing him to unmute. So I don't know if you have the ability to do that on your end.
He's rejoining. Would he be your only other witness prior to concluding your?
Hi. All right, they're trying to, they said they're doing it on their end.
Like a point of order, can we either take a recess and fix this and not do this live, or
I
move
was
forward, either
just
one?
thinking that.
All right, we're gonna take
we
a
take a
recess and
short
try to-
break,
Try to get it figured out.
or I guess we're gonna have to conclude after lunch. So maybe, does Mr. Brown have the ability to come in if we recess till after lunch?
He was
Or
in Eureka this morning.
okay, so then you can communicate with him, and so we'll go ahead and take a recess on this item, and we'll reopen at 1 o'clock. Go ahead.
Can I just, there's something we were handed that I feel I just need to at least make public and ask, and I don't want to just receive it, ignore it. It's kind of like an elephant in the room. Can somebody talk to me about the waiver of objection under Property Tax Rule 308.5 and why this was received so that it can be at least made public?
County
Yes.
Council, can you address that, please? or the assessor?
Thank you, Mr.
We
Chair.
we were notified that the binders had been delivered prior to, and the code that we gave you says that that information is not supposed to be presented beforehand. You all were given the packets last time, and I collected them after the meeting when it was postponed. But we waived it because, you know, it wasn't, there was no maliciousness, we don't believe, in order to, you know, for that. But, so we waived the, anything to do with that.
County Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So to supplement the assessor recorder staff statement, staff has since received information that as far as the substantive contents of that binder, that despite the initial distribution and the subsequent pullback of those binders, that the substantive contents of those binders were not reviewed by any one of the board members. So so this is more of a confirmation from the assessor recorder's office that in light of these circumstances, there's no objection over property tax rule 313.
Thank you. Any further questions, Supervisor Sabatier, on that?
And just 308.5 is just a rule that states disqualification and doesn't state specifically about evidence being submitted earlier. That's in a different section of the code. The evidence should be submitted during the public hearing. I don't see disqualification because of prior evidence. It just says in the hearing procedure that evidence needs to be submitted under oath, and that any prior knowledge, which could be this, shall not be utilized unless it is submitted during the public hearing, is what I'm understanding. Is that correct?
Yes, to be more specific, under property tax rule 313, it expressly states that board members or hearing officers may not act or decide an application based upon consideration of prior knowledge of the subject property, information presented outside of the hearing, or personal research. That would be under subsection E of that property tax rule. And so, given these circumstances where staff has confirmed that the contents, the substantive contents of the binder were not reviewed by any of your it's actually commissioners as the Board of Equalization, that there would not, that any objection, that 313 subsection E of the property tax rules would not apply, and the assessor recorder is merely confirming through their waiver document that they would not be objecting on the basis of any recusals or disqualifications under 308.5 under those circumstances.
Okay. And then my final comment is we were provided a packet from our assessor's office. We were provided a binder. I guess I feel the need to ask, did we hear the magic word of those are being submitted as evidence? Because I don't know that that was heard publicly. I know that we've received them, but it just feels like it should at least be stated that such information was provided to us as evidence in this public hearing.
So your board can certainly confirm them as being offered and marked as exhibits for purposes of evidence. Your board may consider either towards the hearing or subsequent deliberations to determine the weight of those items as it relates to how relevant they are in evidence, and also to consider whether or not certain items would not be considered as evidence, but that would come at a later point in time. But as far as them being marked as offered and lodged as exhibits for evidence, certainly your board can put that on the record.
In the assessor's office with the package you provided, are you submitting that to be accepted and marked as evidence?
We are, thank you.
And likewise for Myers LLC, Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Are you submitting this to be marked and received as evidence? Yes. And any further question?
I do have further questions, but I think it would be best to finish up any testimony prior to doing any back and forth and deliberation.
And I just, since we took some time there, are we still having a problem with the witness?
Rob told me that he had is on by phone. Is that a?
That's not going to work, I don't think.
What time will we come back from lunch?
1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock, like 1:05 probably.
We'll meet you back here at 5 till, and I'll get on the phone with Rob and we'll get this figured out.
Yeah, I would suggest that you work on that while we're on break, but he's gonna have to connect through the system here.
Absolutely.
We can't take it on a phone outside because it won't broadcast to everybody.
Right.
So we'll be in recess then until 1:05, it looks like.
Okay.
All right, thank you.